Hi, you guys, it's me, Miss Fry. I know, it's still dorky. I'm not stopping. All the way, May 29th. Okay, I might have to stop when this book is done. Okay, anyway, cow. The next day, we were back at Mrs. Falala's, just me and Luke. Surely you don't need us along, right? Dad had said. Surely you and Lukey can handle this on your own, right? And remember, be respectful, right? Right. All the way over, Luke said, Don't let her poke me, Rena. Don't let her scold me. Don't let her be mean to me. I will try my best, I said, but I was wishing that my parents were along so I could say, Don't let her poke me. Don't let her scold me. Don't let her be mean to me. And then I thought, Come on, Rena. You are old enough to handle one little old lady. Mrs. Falala was waiting for us by the barn, sitting on a hay bale. First, water. So much for pleasantries. From her pleasantries, like, hello, how are you? Good morning, nice to see you, pleasantries. From her hay bale throne, Mrs. Falala barked orders. Empty bucket, over there, fill with water. See hose, not too much, not too little, put it over there. There, get feed bucket, not that one, the other one. Take the feed bin, over there, fill it up. No, not half full, half full. Put it over there. There, see? There. Luke was moving carefully, almost in slow motion, and after we'd filled up the water and feed buckets, he stopped and stood still, his arms straight at his sides. He turned toward Mrs. Falala and said, Where is the cow? Cow? She said. You think there is a cow? Yes, Luke said. Yesterday you said, tomorrow, cow, and today is tomorrow, and where is the cow? You were wanting to see cow? He's not being disrespectful, Mrs. Falala, I said. He's just asking about cow. Yes. You are wanting to see cow? Yes. Why didn't you say so? Cow over there, see? Mrs. Falala snaked her arm toward the pasture beyond. We saw only grass and weeds and fence. There! You are not seen? By bushes? In one corner, lying beside sprawling bushes, was a black lump. That lumpy thing? Luke said. It's not lumpy, Mrs. Falala replied. Go see. Neither of us moved. What? You is afraid? Of cow? We are not afraid, I said. We are just cautious. Pah! Afraid! Afraid of cow! Mrs. Falala tossed her braid from one side to the other. Afraid of cow! Come on, Luke, I said. Come with me. I opened the pasture gate. Let's go see this lumpy cow. It's not lumpy, Mrs. Falala said. Halfway across the field, Luke whispered to me, Is too lumpy. The lump we could now see was definitely a cow, and it wasn't all black. It was one of the belted Galloways, black on its front and hindquarters and white in the middle, or at least white where it wasn't splattered with mud. It stared at us as we approached, making no movement except an occasional flick of its tail. Lumpy old lazy cow, Luke said. And then came the sound, the low rumbling from deep inside and the long drawn-out moo. Its eyes were as big as apples and its nostrils gaping black caves. I've been close to a cow. Their nostrils are huge. They're really big animals. Moo. Touch it, Luke said. What, me? When you have a little brother, you don't want to look weak. I stepped closer to the cow. On its head, Luke said. Pat its head, Rena. Oh, that was one mighty large head. I bet the head alone weighed 100 pounds. It's not used to us, Luke. I don't want to scare the poor thing. Go on, pat its head so it will know we're friendly. I leaned closer and quickly patted the top of its head. There, cow. Hi there, cow. The fur was softer than I expected. Abruptly, the cow tossed its head and let out another lone, low moo. We headed back to the gate, maybe a little faster than we had come. I could see Mrs. Falala watching us, but she said nothing about our encounter with the cow. We did a few more chores for her before it was time for us to leave. Not so bad, Mrs. Falala said. Tomorrow, You meet Zora for official. Zora? Who's Zora? Tomorrow? I'm not sure we can come back. Yes, your papa says he's fine. 3 mornings a week. But watch out for Polly. The squealing hog that we'd seen on our first visit came barreling around the side of the barn, chased once again by the fat golden cat. We plastered ourselves against the barn and let them pass. Polly is the hog or the cat? Polly is fat pig hog. Cat is China. You come back tomorrow. They'll be here. Zora, too. Zora? Zora is cow. At the bottom of the drive, we stopped and stared back at the house, waiting to hear the flute music. It wasn't long, only a few minutes, before the gentle melody drifted out of the attic window. Zora. As I said way back at the beginning, the truth is Zora was ornery and stubborn, wouldn't listen to anybody, and was selfish beyond selfish and filthy, caked with mud and dust and moody. You better watch it or she'd knock you flat splat. That's Zora I'm talking about. Zora, that cow. We found this out, me and Luke, on our next visit to Mrs. Falala's. Bring her in, commanded Mrs. Falala. How? Get her! Bring her! Mrs. Falala tossed a halter in my direction. Come on, Lukey, we are going to do this. Surely I could imitate what I'd seen the kids do at the nearby Birchmere farm. Surely I could just toss the loop over Zora's head and pull her on in, right? Luke's eyes were open so wide, he stayed well behind me. Zora was standing in a mud puddle when we approached her. When I tossed the loop at her head, she dodged it. Moo! Moo! Talk to her, Rena. Tell her you're not going to hurt her. I talked to her. I told her I wouldn't hurt her. I tossed the loop again. She dodged it. Moo! Moo! Zora turned and walked farther away. I tossed the rope from behind, missed. I tossed it again. Zora stomped in the mud, splattering me from head to foot. Talk to her, Rena. Tell her not to be afraid. Tell her. Look, Luke, why don't you talk to her? Why don't you try to get this halter on her? Watch out, Rena! Zora had turned and was coming toward us. She was picking up speed. Run, Luke! Zora was chasing us. When we reached the gate, Luke scrambled up and over it instead of through it, and I was trying to follow when Zora's enormous head looked up below me, loomed up below me, and bumped me into the air so that I landed ungracefully. On the other side, where Mrs. Falala was standing with a sly little smile on her sly little face. That Mrs. Falala, that Zora. You didn't do it, Mrs. Falala said, taking the halter from me and holding it aloft. You think it eats too hard? We didn't answer. You babies? Luke stamped his foot. We are not babies. Don't. What Luke means is that we are not babies. Then do it, said Mrs. Falala. Put halter on Zora. She dangled the rope in front of me. You could practically see steam rising from Luke's head. He grabbed the rope, climbed the fence gate, and sitting on the top rail, dropped the loop of the rope over Zora's big head while she stood perfectly still. There, Luke said, tossing the loose end of the rope to Mrs. Falala. There. You catch flies with your open mouth? Mrs. Falala said to me. I couldn't have been more surprised if Luke had suddenly grown wings. He roped the cow, that big-headed cow, and the cow didn't object. Mrs. Falala opened the gate and handed the rope to me. Bring Zora in. To the stall? Yes, of course, the stall. What you think, we are taking her to the grocery? There stood Zora. I gently tugged on the rope. Come on, Zora, here we go. Nothing. Come on, time to eat. Zora moved backward, pulling hard. I dug in my heels, sliding in the muck. Come on, Zora. Luke said, tell her you won't hurt her. Tell her. I told her. I pulled. She pulled back. Tell her not to be afraid. I told her. Zora pulled. My heels slid in farther. I fell on my butt. That cow. Excuse me, you guys. Mrs. Falala's plan. The next day, Mrs. Falala was waiting for us at the barn. I tell you the plan, yes? You are not so good yet, but you practice. You do all things and then you will be ready. Ready for what? I asked. Mrs. Falala opened the pasture gate and ushered me and Luke inside, ready to show Zora. What does that mean? She tossed me the rope. Show her. At the fairs. What fairs? Luke was standing there swiveling his head from me to Mrs. Falala and back again, not saying a word. You don't know about fairs? Mrs. Falala slapped her hand against her forehead. Where are you always coming from that you don't know fairs? You mean like a carnival? Carnival? No, a fair. They show the horses, the cows, the pigs, the goats, the bunnies, the chickens. The judge choose best cow and best chicken and best piggy. Like that, a fair. You got it now? Luke and I, she's something. Luke and I had never been to this sort of fair. In big cities, they don't show the horses, the cows, the pigs, the goats, the bunnies, or the chickens. Mrs. Falala was waving us further into the pasture. Go, you get Zora. You think you can do it today? I don't think Zora likes us, I said. Of course not. She does not know you from nobody. What if you were a bad person? You have to introduce yourself. On our way across the field, Luke practiced. Hello, Zora. My name is Luke. This is Rena. We are not bad people. I don't think she meant like that, Luke. I think she meant that Zora has to get used to us. Zora was not in the mood for introductions that day. She knocked me over with a push of her big fat head, and she stubbornly refused to budge from her muddy spot near the bushes. She startled us frequently with loud moos, she slobbered profusely, and then shook her head to splatter us with the slobber. She lifted her tail to let loose a long, smelly stream of urine and 2 runny dung pats. Flies zoomed around Zora and ventured over to us. We returned to the barn without Zora. Mrs. Falala clicked her tongue. You might have to come more often. But, I tried to think of a polite protest, but was caught off guard by Polly the pig, rounding the corner, squealing. Polly tore past me and knocked Luke flat, sending his notebook flying from his satchel. Mrs. Falala retrieved the notebook. What this is? She flipped through the pages. That's mine. You make these pictures? Yes. You copy? No. How you do? Luke was looking up at Mrs. Falala, shielding his eyes from the sun. He staggered back, tugging at my arm. Rena, up there. Slithering, I don't want to read this part. Slithering across the barn roof was the snake, long and thick and black. Mrs. Falala followed our stairs. It's just Edna. She eats the mice. Oh. A day off. We took a day off from going to Mrs. Falala's and rode our bikes all around the town. The sun was sparkling off the water and the boats in the harbor, and people were strolling along with their kids and their dogs, and lined up at the ice cream stands and the lobster roll shack. We stopped at one stand for the creamiest soft-serve ice cream and got a cup of corn to feed the ducks in the river below. It was the perfect Maine kind of day. Up Chestnut Street we rode and down the hill to the farm with the belted Galloways, where we leaned our bikes against the fence. The girl and boy I'd seen before, Beat and Zepp, waved from the barn. Where you been? Beat called. Haven't seen you in a few days. She put down a bucket and walked up to where we were standing. Busy, helping an old lady. What old lady is that? Beat was wearing the same orange overalls and tall black boots I'd seen her in before. She had sparkly black eyes and a kind smile. Mrs. Falala. Sorry, it's my son. Just a second. Hey, honey.
Hey, should we park in this 1-hour guest parking?
Sure.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Are you gonna come down to get us?
No, but I'm right in the middle of taping something. You're gonna have to tell the front desk that you're coming up to me.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Sorry.
We've been helping Mrs. Falala. Beat clapped her hand to her mouth. Oh, really? Mrs. Falala? Yep, you know her? Everyone knows Mrs. Falala. Do you know her cow, Zora? Beat put her hand on my arm. Oh boy, do I know Zora. Hey, Zepp, come here. Look who's helping Mrs. Falala and Zonky Zora. The tall red-headed boy, Zepp, ambled up to the fence. He nodded at me and at Luke. That riot? Pardon? His Maine accent seemed stronger today. He spoke louder as if we were deaf. That right? You helping Mrs. Falala? Yes. Beat and Zep exchanged a look that maybe meant, are they crazy? Or maybe, can you believe that? Or maybe, poor kids. Beat said, and they're helping her with Zora, too. Whoa, Zora? Whoa, now that's a stubborn one, that Zora. Yes, I said, we discovered that. Mrs. Falala wants us to show Zora at the fairs. Again, Beat and Zep exchanged a look. But, I said, we don't know anything about cows or fairs. Do we, Luke? Nope. Beat grinned. Well, we can help you with that, can't we, Zep? We know about cows and we know about fairs, don't we, Zep? Aye. So just like that, we arranged that Luke and I would come to the farm for a couple of hours, each of the days we did not go to Mrs. Falala's. We'll train you, Beat said. Aye, Zep agreed. Train you right up. Oh, man. Okay. Sorry about the interruption. Okay, guys, I won't see you tomorrow. And, but I'll see you, on Monday. Okay? I'll have internet back late Friday night. Late Friday afternoon if you need anything. I probably won't be checking too much email, though, with the move. But over the weekend I will be, in case you need something. Okay? I'll talk to you soon. I hope you like the book. I think it's funny. I think it's sweet. Totally different from the last book we read, but that's okay. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.